Hello, Seattle. So thank you very much for that intro, John. And thank you to Tune for this opportunity. Beautiful city, which I've never been to before, but hopefully we'll be back next year. So I'm David Murphy, co-founder of Mobile Marketing Magazine. I'm here with Kevin Jonas. Kevin, co-CEO of The Blue Market. As I'm sure some of you, probably most of you in the room, will realize, Kevin, back in the day, was one of the Jonas brothers and still is. So let's have a big,
Thanks.
Big hand for that.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, your brothers decided to stick with music after the Jonas Brothers ceased to be a thing.
Yeah, forget that.
You've gone down a very different track with the Blue Market.
Absolutely.
So, to kick us off, why don't you just tell people what that is and what it does?
Absolutely. So after the band essentially imploded, we decided to all go our different ways and do different things, and I really had a passion for creating amazing content, influencer-driven capacity. Met my co-founder, Stephen Forkosh. We ended up building out this thing called The Blue Market, which is fully trackable, performance-based influencer marketing, which is amazing because there's a lot of garbage out there in the influencer space, and everyone's like, why are you better than this company or this company? And it's like, if we really pay attention to data, learn from that data, and understand it, like, it's been really good for us and our clients, and obviously with as many apps out there with these guys, being able to really track all of that, it's been really great.
Good stuff. So I just want to read the session description just so we keep on track. Connecting and influencing through marketing technology. To connect and influence your audience, marketers and brands have had to embrace technology in order to stay relevant. So I guess my first question would be, hasn't it always been thus? You know, once upon a time, radio was a new thing.
Right.
Once upon a time, TV was a new thing. Once upon a time, the web was a new thing. And then it was mobile. And then it was social. So has anything really changed? Brands have always had to keep up, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what was interesting, like with the influencer space, it transitioned in the same capacity, right? So originally, the studios owned the talent. They made the movies. They hired who they want. They were on salary, and that was just it. Then it moved to where the world of media kind of owned the celebrities, right? They took all the paparazzi shots, now they were publishing, and they went from there. Then instantly rolled over to where the mobile age is happening, and everybody has their own essential broadcast network. I'd say that 10% of our audience that we have on access to every single day through our network is larger than 3 to 4 of the largest networks in cable television combined. You know, so like that being the case, it's an amazing thing to how much real incredible media you can create and have it distributed in an organic and native fashion.
And if you look at what you've done with the Blue Market, these influencers, you know, in marketing terms, as being a group of people that brands could do something with and usefully use, they didn't really exist 2 years ago, did they? So,
yeah,
where did it come from?
I think it was funny because I actually go back to a story where we were in London, and a girl said, "Follow me on Twitter," and we weren't on Twitter yet, and we were still like kicking ass on MySpace, and that was our thing. We actually didn't have how many MySpace people? Yeah, we didn't have favor at the time from radio, from our label. We really kind of were at the time still just kind of on the bubble. Maybe something will happen, maybe not. And we really learned that one-to-one connection through this interesting thing called social, we could really grow it. So to answer your question, like, it wasn't here a couple of years ago. But it's always been there in different capacities. But this has really just amplified the ability to have everyone feel like they are truly connected to someone in their everyday life.
And I think the last figure I saw for the Blue Market was 9,000 influencers with a reach of 300 million people.
Yeah.
How dynamic is that? I imagine, you know, people rise and fall in popularity by the day, by the hour?
By the second, really, right? No, it's an incredible thing, right? With all these different, you know, publishers, with these different, you know, bloggers, with these influencers, we've really taken a real big approach to help them cultivate their pages, really make them, empower them, really try to make them, allow them to feel like they can do what they need to do to be special. Influencers are really, you know, completely neutral. They can go work with anyone ever, unless you have some kind of lockdown, you know, like deal with them. But 9 times out of 10, like, they're just going from deal to deal, getting called when they're getting called. So it's really interesting to build a place and a platform that people can come to, and it's completely open form, right? You know, you're going to come, you're going to be able to help you monetize your page in a real interesting way.
And do they make life-changing sums of money, some of the people you're working with?
Some of them do, yeah. It's insane. We've had, you know, the influencer space is a great one because you have people that are really willing to push their page and really, drive traffic, right? Then you have others that are extremely cautious about their brand. And they should be, because brands are cautious about their brand. You have to be. That was the one thing that we learned as, the Jonas Brothers back in the day, was how often do you have to say yes versus how often do you have to say no? And you really have to start to own and truly understand your own personal value in social, because your audience, if you do have an influence, and everybody in this room has probably 100 to 200 to maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, that they can talk to on a daily basis, and they're an influencer in their own right. And so when you're able to do that and actually have the ability to move the needle in their life towards something that you care about, you're gonna be way more effective. But if it's super aggressive and it's just like, do this because I'm getting paid, like that can work. It can translate to conversions. It can translate to a story. It can do other things, but 9 times out of 10, it needs to be built into an organic fashion.
Okay, and just again, coming back to technology, one of the speakers this morning was talking about the average marketer, or the average company's got 20 pieces of tech, in some cases 100, and the average marketer's got to use 5 pieces of tech a day. When you look at the sort of MarTech, Lumascape, I think it's on 3,500 companies, do you sympathize with brands who are trying to make sense of it and trying to keep up, and how do you keep up?
Oh, absolutely, right? We keep track of it on our side, and we actually built our entire platform through Has Offers and Tune, so that's not even a plug, it really is the truth. Like we track everything, right? We track from click to conversion to impression basis via social, and we can track it all, we can see it all, we can bill it all. We can do it all, and that's really unique. But then we also use third-party data for insights into social, where the graphs are, how is it responding, and without data, you can throw a lot of money at an influencer and get a post, but what's really your ROI, right? Like, and I'm absolutely, I fall, prey to that as well. Hey, there's this company, they will pay you X to take a picture and put it on Instagram. You see a number next to it that you can't say no to, it's very hard to just be like, okay. And then you say, okay, what's the creative? And they give you this rundown of like what it is, and it just doesn't fly. So that's why the data is important. Know where your fall off is in your audience. It's about retention, right? So even when our games and a bunch of things we work with our clients, it's, all right, so if I post at this hour, how much of an hourly retention will I have for the next 6 before I need to have another post go out that matters? But how many likes does it translate to growth of that to actually get onto the trending search into the App Store? Like, those are the things that matter to us, and that's the data we're tracking.
You and I actually share a lot of similarities. I'm often turning down promotional opportunities like that as well for life-changing sums of money. And,
I actually had to pay him a lot of money to be here tonight.
Beyond Tune and Has Offers, what other tech is there out there at the moment that gets you excited?
The other tech that's out there, obviously, the buzzword recently is like Pokemon Go, right? It is a unique thing. It's cool to see some new life. Other tech that's out there, there's a lot. I'm not a huge fan of VR, but the AR thing I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's actually some other really big emerging platforms that I'm a fan of as well, though.
Go on, give us an emerging platform.
Emerging platform. So we actually made a strategic investment in it, but so I can say it. But there's an app. There's a social play that's called We Heart It, and they are an incredible app, a huge curator of inspirations for typically the female audience. And we started to realize that we need to diversify where the traffic's coming from. It's not all just going to be the main socials, right? Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and so those things are great, but there's so many other places that are bubbling that there's something really big there, and that's one of them. So we made an investment and really took a big dive into it.
Okay, and when you look in the here and now, you look at the Gaffer Gang, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. They look unassailable, but you look at Microsoft 20 years ago, and it looked unassailable. So should these guys? I'm sure they're not complacent, but should they be looking over their shoulder, and what sort of things should they be, nervous about, or at least thinking of?
Absolutely. Anytime a product can come out and completely change the ecosystem of the App Store when everyone thought it was dead, right? And then like Pokemon Go can go and change everything. Now everyone's like, oh, this is the world we need to be in. Okay, maybe not, right? Like this is maybe a one-off, maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be the new future of gaming. But at the end of the day, where is the value for these companies to continue to grow and continue? Like there's always going to be a new phone. There's always going to be new people. Everyone's like, oh, well, the market's going to be capped. It's like, yeah, but there's going to be a 13-year-old girl that's going to get a cell phone for her birthday. I say 13 because I'm not going to let my daughter have one until she's 13. No, I'm just kidding. But like 13-year-old girl that's going to get her phone for the first time, what is going to be the first app that she has to download, right? my goal is to make sure that whatever app I'm working with is that app that is powerful enough that it can drive those conversions. And I think you have to look at the market that there's always a new point of entry for everybody. And typically with marketing and other things, the single point of sale, the first time of sale, you'll have a person stay with you, whether that's a bank, whether that's your hair care products. It's like that's what will happen. So I truly do believe that's the same feel in social and in mobile.
Okay, so I guess most people in the room, you've sat through 2 days of very interesting, varied presentations. We've touched on things like augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. We haven't touched on so much, but delivery drones. Ray Kurzweil yesterday talking about synthesizing your brain with the cloud. This sort of stuff, I think, to us in the room is very exciting. But do you have any sympathy with people who say, "This is scary shit. This is not the world I was born into. I don't actually like all this where it's going."
Right. I go back to my 2.5-year-old daughter that can now use and FaceTime me without ever really being taught how to do it, right? Like the things she's going to be able to do when she's 30 on a mobile device is beyond my understanding at this moment. But at the same time, it's an exciting play, but it's extremely scary. I think there's a whole protection of your own personal data that is going to have to really be cautious about, right? And we've talked a lot about it, protecting that data, the resale of it, those things. But understanding what your data is worth as a person, I think will also be something that you have to really pay attention to.
Yeah, and in a panel yesterday, I mentioned a guy that tried to do exactly that. He tried to create a platform to allow people to sell their own personal data. He was going to take them off everybody's mailing list, and then when you're in the market for a car, you would tell this company that you were interested in Chryslers or Chevys, and then they would sell that data, and you would make money out of it. And it never got off the ground, probably because it was too cumbersome, and maybe the computing power is there now to make that work.
Maybe for sure, but it's a little invasive on the personal sense because it feels like you're kind of selling yourself, right?
Yeah.
But that's what.
So
Facebook
we've got 1 minute left, and we've been talking a lot about apps and downloads and retention and loyalty. So give me the app that's on your phone that you would never uninstall because it's so useful to you.
I'm now kind of living and breathing by Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
It's becoming a thing. I believe that's going to be the future pretty much of all stuff in the next, it's already there, but like in the next 2 years, like it's going to truly be the platform.
Okay.
I think you're going to do everything, including your Facebook feed will all be living in there as well.
Okay, so just in the final 30 seconds, I just wanted to share something with you as I was sort of doing my prep for this session. I didn't know a lot about Kevin's previous life. I only realized who you were two days ago.
He's lying. He was at every show.
That's right. Well, my kids were. But while I was doing my homework, I discovered that when the band were a thing, they were giving away 10% of their earnings to a charity called Change for the Children, which must amount to more than $1 million based on one of the figures I saw, probably 7 million.
Yeah.
And that Kevin's also done some great work with Do Something to raise awareness of teenage homelessness. So I think tremendous stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, could we big it up for Kevin, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was nice. Thanks, everybody.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.